The day I received my husband's stomach cancer diagnosis, he confessed to having another woman. He said, Mian has been by my side for many years, sharing hardships and helping me start my business. Now she's pregnant, and I have to give her a title. We'll get a divorce. The company is mine, and all other assets are yours. Looking at the man's face full of restrained affection. Although my heart ached, I readily nodded. Let's get divorced then. He's on his deathbed, I should fulfill his last wish. Jiangwen had been experiencing stomach pain and occasional dry heaves lately. Worried about his health, I insisted on dragging him to the hospital for related tests. The gastroscopy had just been completed. After receiving a call, Jiangwen told me that there was an emergency at the company and he needed to rush back immediately. The examination report was still printing, and Jiangwen had already disappeared. I took the examination report to the doctor. The doctor frowned as he looked at the various test results. He said sternly, the situation is not good. His blood test tumor markers are more than 1,000 times higher than the standard value. The gastroscopy shows abnormal thickening of the stomach wall and irregular masses. I interrupted the doctor anxiously, Doctor, please just tell me directly, is my husband's stomach problem serious? The doctor nodded, it is currently diagnosed as stomach cancer, but further tissue biopsies are needed to determine the specific stage of development. Please have your husband admitted to the hospital as soon as possible for treatment and examination. I barely heard what the doctor said after that. I only heard a buzzing in my brain. I staggered out of the hospital. My mind was full of thoughts, and I didn't know how to tell Jiangwen about his illness. When I got home, I looked at the examination report and cried until my eyes were swollen. I couldn't imagine how I would live without him. It was almost time for Jiangwen to get off work. I suppressed my sadness and went to the kitchen to prepare dinner for him. Over the years, Jiangwen often had to drink with clients to negotiate business and secure deals. Over time, he developed chronic stomach problems. To nourish his stomach, I made different types of nourishing porridge every day. The diet was mainly light. Afraid that the food outside would be too greasy, I would prepare his lunch every day and drive it to his company myself. But even with all my carefulness, I couldn't escape the trickery of fate. The thought of his handsome face soon facing chemotherapy and radiation made my tears well up again. It was completely dark when Jiangwen came back. I had been crying for too long, and my brain was a little dizzy. I was weakly on the dining table. Jiangwen frowned when he saw me, if you're tired, go to the room and rest. What's with on the dining table? I struggled to get up, desperately organizing my thoughts. Thinking about how to euphemistically tell him about his illness. Seeing that I didn't respond for a long time, Jiangwen impatiently loosened his tie and said, I've already eaten outside. Eat by yourself. I'm going to take a shower first. After speaking, he went straight upstairs. As I went upstairs with the test report, Jiangwen had already showered and gone into the study. I knocked on the study door. Honey, are you still working? Jiangwen's faint voice came from inside. Yeah, busy. I stood for 2 minutes and spoke again. I have something to discuss with you. Can I come in? There was a long silence inside before he said, I have a video conference coming up soon, let's talk about it later. I sighed softly. Since the company went public, Jiangwen's work has become increasingly busy. In the past 6 months, he's either working overtime or more frequently on business trips. He looks much more haggard overall. Just as I was about to turn around and go back to the room, a WeChat message notification sounded downstairs. It rang 3 or 5 times in a row. I thought it was Jiangwen's phone left downstairs. Thinking he might need his phone for the video conference, I quickly went downstairs to bring it to him. But the sound wasn't coming from his phone, but from Jiangwen's tablet. It must be logged into the same WeChat account, and the messages were synchronized. Although the tablet was locked, WeChat messages kept popping up. I'm telling you, you're not allowed to sleep with that old woman, or you can forget about touching me again. You promised to mention divorce to her as soon as you got home today, you can't lie to me. If you don't get a divorce, I'll go to the hospital to abort the baby tomorrow. I knew the person who sent the messages. It was Jiang Wen's assistant, Ching Mian. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning, holding the tablet, frozen in place. For a moment, I couldn't tell if this scene was real or a dream. Jiang Wen and I were college classmates. 4 years of dating, 10 years of marriage. We've been together for 14 years. To support his startup, I quit my stable job within the government system. When the company had cash flow problems, I took out my dowry and all my savings, giving them to him without reservation. Countless nights, we stayed up late to create proposals that would satisfy the clients. Through countless rounds of negotiations, we repeatedly worked to secure the maximum benefit in our partnerships. Friends around us said that we had a hard time these years. Fortunately, everything paid off in the end. Later, the company gradually got on the right track. We hired highly educated and capable talents, and the work I was doing was gradually distributed. My in-laws urged us to have children. They said that Jiang Wen and I had been married for many years without any children, and they were being drowned in the saliva of relatives back home. So I put aside my work and started preparing for pregnancy. Starting about a year ago, Jiang Wen's work suddenly became busy. He started going on business trips frequently. Every time I get home, I'm always listless. After getting into bed, I either scroll through news on my phone or just crash out. I reminded him that we were trying to conceive. But when it comes to married life, even if I had incredible abilities, I can't make a baby by myself. But Jiang Wen would always wave his hand wearily and say, "I'm really tired. Anyway, we haven't had kids for so many years, so it won't make a difference if we skip a day or two. Let's go to bed early." I thought he was just too tired. I never imagined that he was seeing another woman behind my back. I held Jiang Wen's medical report tightly in my hand. In one day, I received 2 major blows. Thinking about it, it's actually quite ironic. I wanted to slap the diagnosis in Jiang Wen's face and tell him that this was the retribution for his infidelity. But in the end, I held back. As I walked upstairs again, the door to Jiang Wen's study opened. He saw me coming up from downstairs, paused, and asked, "It's so late, why aren't you asleep yet?" I didn't even look at him and coldly replied, "Is it any of your business whether I sleep or not?" Jiang Wen's face instantly darkened. But he suppressed his anger and asked in a deep voice, "What did you want to talk to me about just now?" My voice was icy. "It's nothing, an unimportant thing, I've already forgotten." Jiang Wen looked at me quietly for at least 10 seconds, and finally he spoke, "Perfect, I have something to say." I twitched the corner of my mouth, revealing a mocking smile. Jiang Wen took a deep breath and said, word by word, "Sushixia, let's get divorced." Even though I already knew the outcome. Hearing those words still made my heart ache. Warm yellow light shone on Jiang Wen's handsome face. His face held only certainty, without a trace of guilt. I desperately suppressed the trembling in my voice and asked, "Why?" "I want to know the reason." When men talk about the women they love, their eyes are gentle and affectionate. He said, "Actually, Nian and I have been together for 7 years. She is the partner who truly resonates with my soul. Every moment I spend with her is filled with romance and surprise. She understands all my unspoken words and knows the meaning behind every look in my eyes. But what about when I'm with you? The topics you talk about are always orders and business. To you, I'm just a money-making robot." Unlike when he mentioned Qing Mian, when he talked about me, his eyes held disgust. My nails dug into my palms until they hurt. He said, "If it weren't for Mian being there for me during those most difficult years, I wouldn't have achieved what I have today. I might have been driven crazy by you a long time ago." Jiang Wen's words pierced me deeply. Don't I want romance and to wander through mountains and seas? Don't I want to pursue poetry and the distance? But those bank loans need to be repaid. The company's rent and property fees need to be paid. Employees' salaries need to be paid, and social insurance needs to be paid. I can't afford to stop recklessly under the enormous economic pressure. Since I chose to start a business, I inevitably have to endure more hardship, bear more pressure, and take on more responsibility than when I was working for someone else. Words can't describe my heartbreak and disappointment. I scoffed, so, your so-called soulmate is someone who cheats and is morally corrupt. Well, your souls are a perfect match, I can't compare to you two. Jiang Wen's face flushed instantly. But his eyes gradually turned cold. In any case, I'm definitely divorcing you. Mian Mian is pregnant, and the child is mine. Tears still welled up uncontrollably. The scenes of Jiang Wen pursuing me are still vivid in my mind. Now he's telling me that another woman is carrying his child, and he wants to divorce me. I raised my hand and slapped him hard across the face. Jiang Wen, you're a beast. My biggest regret in this life is marrying you. Jiang Wen's face was turned to the side by my slap. He paused, then remained silent. Jiang Wen and I met and fell in love on the university campus. He was the one who pursued me. He drank a can of beer that day because he was too nervous to confess. His face was flushed, and his ears were red too. He blocked my way to the library and stuttered, "Sushi-sha, I like you. Can you be my girlfriend?" Looking at the handsome guy who was half a head taller than me, I blushed without realizing it. But I didn't agree. Who would agree to a drunk person's confession? Later, Jiang Wen appeared downstairs in our dormitory every day. He bought breakfast for me and my roommates and reserved seats for me in the library. My roommates all advised me to seize the opportunity with Jiang Wen, saying that I would definitely regret it if I missed such a good man. In my sophomore year, Jiang Wen and I got together. He gave me plenty of love and a sense of security. He once promised me with sincere eyes, "Sushi-sha, I will only be good to you in this lifetime." How laughable. Men are only 3 parts drunk, enough to make you cry. From beginning to end, the only one who was immersed in that illusion and unwilling to wake up was myself. A trace of guilt finally appeared in Jiang Wen's eyes. But it wasn't for me. He pursed his dry lips and said, "Mian Mian has been by my side since she graduated from college, accompanying me from the most difficult days to today. Now that she's carrying my child, I have to give her a proper place." Tears streaming down my face, I asked angrily, "Didn't I follow you since I graduated from college? Didn't I accompany you from the most difficult days to today?" Jiang Wen said coldly, "Yes, so I will compensate you in the divorce." Compensate me? I laughed through my tears. I got my marriage certificate with him at 23, right after college graduation. To save money after starting a business. He and I squeezed into a basement with a monthly rent of 450 yuan. In that damp and cramped basement, I learned to catch cockroaches with my bare hands and trap rats with sticky boards. To save money for loan repayments, we only bought the cheapest leafy vegetables when the vegetable market was about to close. Eating braised beef noodles was considered an improvement in our diet. In the toughest times, we survived for 3 days on just 10 yuan. Every meal was just plain steamed buns. It wasn't until 2 years later that the company gradually got on the right track, and life started to get a little better. The villa we live in now was bought 2 years ago. From getting the keys, to the renovation, to airing it out until it was suitable to live in. We haven't moved in for more than half a year. Jiang Wen adopted a negotiating tone, "Sushi-sha, let go with some dignity. The company was built with Mian Mian, I won't give it to you, but all the other assets are yours. These assets for your 10 years, you won't be at a loss. After all, the money you earn in 10 years of working might not even be enough to buy the yard of this villa." It felt like a raging fire was burning in my chest. I raised my hand again and slapped him across the face. This slap was even harder. Jiang Wen staggered from the blow. Then he bent over and started retching. I stood beside him, coldly watching his neck veins bulge from trying to suppress the dry heaves. Just then, Jiang Wen's phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID and wiped the corner of his mouth with the back of his hand. "Mian Mian, what's wrong?" His voice was doting and gentle. He deliberately answered Qing Mian Mian's call in front of me. Jiang Wen glanced at me and said into the phone, don't worry, now that I've promised to give you an explanation, I will never go back on my word. Whether Su Shixia agrees or not, I am determined to get this divorce. Got it, tomorrow is the day for the baby's fetal heart monitoring, I won't forget. I'll drive to pick you up then. He shamelessly said intimate and flirtatious things to Qing Mianmian in front of me. At this moment, his ugly face made me have only one thought: getting cancer is your retribution. I turned and went downstairs. Minutes later, those medical reports were reduced to ashes in the villa's backyard. From now on, whether this dog of a man lives or dies is none of my business. I didn't expect Qing Mianmian to actually dare to ask me to meet. Probably to flaunt her victory. As the original wife, of course I couldn't be afraid of her. I contacted my friend Songwen, who is an online influencer and relationship blogger with nearly 2 million followers on video platforms. I asked her to secretly film the video of my meeting with Qing Mianmian. It might be useful in the future. The meeting place was a coffee shop. When I arrived, Qing Mianmian was already sitting at the table. When she saw me walk into the coffee shop, she stood up holding her stomach. Sister Xixia, over here. Looking at her enthusiasm, anyone who didn't know would think she and I were close friends. Songwen deliberately entered the store a few minutes later. She sat in the seat diagonally behind us. Qing Mianmian's belly was quite big, looking about 5 or 6 months along. She put her hands together on the table, with a sweet smile on her face. Sister Xixia, I ordered you a mocha, you always like to drink it. I held the bag by my side, looking at her with an icy expression. I wondered what she was up to. She picked up the glass of water in front of her and took a small sip. Sister Xixia, don't be so hostile towards me. Blame it on the fact that you and brother Jiangwen have been married for so many years and you didn't think to have a child to tie him down. If you had a son or daughter now, would he have divorced you so readily? I didn't want to listen to her nonsense. But thinking of my friend who was still recording, I forced a smile. You two were secretly together behind my back 7 years ago. I'm actually glad we didn't have children. Qing Mianmian chuckled smugly. Sister Xixia, you gave me a chance, and I'm grateful. Actually, I didn't plan to compete with you. That's why I used to advise Jiangwen to tolerate you. If I had wanted to compete, do you think you could have been Mrs. Jiang for so long? Her face was full of mockery and disdain. It's just that I now have Jiangwen's child. I can live without a title or status, but my child can't. This is my responsibility as a mother. She said it with a righteous air. But I found her logic ridiculous. I mocked. If you were a responsible mother, you shouldn't have become someone else's mistress in the first place, right? Qing Mianmian choked, unable to speak. Perhaps out of anger, she became harsh in her words. Do you know? Jiangwen has long been tired of you. He said you are bland and boring, just like the food you cook. Being with you is like living a dull life where you can see the end at a glance. Jiangwen loves spicy food, but you insist on learning about healthy living, cooking dishes with little salt and no oil, which he finds hard to swallow every time. Did you really think he ate all the meals you sent to the company? Haha, he had me throw them all away. He prefers the lunches I prepare for him. He clearly wanted a banana, but you insisted on giving him an apple. No matter how much you give, you're just touching yourself. I gently stirred my coffee, not even looking up, and asked, so, all these years, you've been cooking spicy dishes that suit Jiangwen's taste? Qing Mianmian raised her chin slightly, extremely proud. Of course, I'm not like you, imposing my own preferences on others. I finally understood why Jiangwen's stomach problems had developed into cancer. Years ago, because Jiangwen had a stomach bleed after drinking, I took him to have a gastroscopy. The doctor told me at the time that he had mild atrophic gastritis. He needed to pay strict attention to his diet. So I had always prepared nutritious meals for him according to the standards of easy digestion, high nutrition, and avoiding spicy and cold foods. Unexpectedly, it all went into the trash. At this moment, I couldn't tell whether Qing Mianmian was an enemy or a friend. Is this the purpose of your inviting me here today? I looked at the woman opposite me leisurely. Qing Mianmian leaned gently on the back of the sofa, stroking her lower abdomen with her hands. She suddenly asked, Su Shixia, do you always think you're amazing? Very capable? The main character in a great life? I frowned, wondering where that was coming from. How bizarre. Qing Mianmian seemed to be lost in memories. When I graduated from junior college, I stayed in the city and looked for many jobs, but those companies either disliked my low education or my lack of work experience. I interviewed dozens of companies, and you were the only one who didn't mind my lack of work experience and kept me. Speaking of this, she supported herself with both hands and leaned back. Probably because she was too far along in her pregnancy. Sitting on the low sofa made her feel strained. But do you remember how you treated me those years? Her emotions were a little agitated. I filled out a small report wrong, and you pointed your finger at me and scolded me for a long time. I just booked your flight an hour wrong, and you scolded me for being stupid. In front of so many people, you scolded me for nearly 20 minutes. But I came to work. Although you paid me a salary, I also put in the corresponding labor. I am not Su Shixia's slave, let alone your dog. A shallow glimmer of tears floated in her eyes. It was as if those humiliations she had suffered in the past had not diminished in the slightest. She continued, later, I worked desperately hard, being cautious at work, and being extremely flattering to you, and only then did you look at me a little more favorably. But you are clearly also from the countryside, so why can you look down on me condescendingly? Why can you marry such an excellent man as Jiang Wen? I am not reconciled. The coffee I was drinking almost spewed out. Her logic left me speechless. Qing Mianmian, you have a mental problem. Please go to the hospital. You said you filled out a small report wrong, but do you know that the report is to be given to the regulatory authorities? Your small mistake could cause the company to face huge fines. You delayed my flight by an hour, but it was because of this hour that I missed the connecting flight, causing my entire itinerary to be scrapped. Shouldn't you be scolded for this? I took into consideration that you were a newcomer, criticized you, and gave you a chance to correct your mistakes. I didn't expect you to actually hold a grudge. In the end, you and Jiang Wen are really a good match. I felt there was no need to continue. Facing such a white-eyed wolf, continuing to talk would only waste my time. I smiled in relief, stood up, and said to her, don't you just want to be with Jiang Wen? I will fulfill you. I also hope that you can be loving with him until you die. The corners of Qing Mianmian's mouth twitched, and then she looked up to meet my gaze. Her tone was extremely firm, of course I will be loving with him until I die. From now on, the president's wife of the listed company is me, and you are just a divorced second-hand good. Although I really want to slap her right now. But she is pregnant now, and I don't want to cause unnecessary trouble for myself because of my momentary impulsiveness. I agreed to Jiang Wen's divorce terms. He didn't even want to wait for the 1-month cooling-off period for divorce. He was probably also afraid that I would suddenly go back on my word. So he entrusted a lawyer to directly file for divorce in court. From the moment I signed the divorce agreement, Jiang Wen moved out of the villa. My in-laws learned about our impending divorce and rushed over from their hometown. Both Jiang Wen and I come from rural areas. But my family's financial situation is much better than Jiang Wen's. My dad contracted 2 mountains, one for ornamental trees and one for fruit trees. The ornamental trees are all relatively expensive varieties. When I got married, my dad gave me a card as a dowry, with 2 million in it. This was also the startup capital for Jiang Wen's business. My in-laws are kind people, and for this reason, they have always been very loving to me. Apart from the pressure to have children, I can't fault them in any way. My mother-in-law held my hand, wiping away tears, and told me not to worry, that she would definitely make that bastard apologize to me. But she made dozens of calls. Her son didn't answer a single one, and in the end, simply blocked her. She was so angry that her chest heaved up and down, and she beat her chest, crying loudly, how could our family produce such a heartless chinshimi? He's only been successful for a few days, and he doesn't even want his mother and his wife who suffered with him. My father-in-law squatted on the balcony, sighing, but there was nothing he could do. Before leaving, my mother-in-law repeatedly assured me that the Jiang family would only recognize me as their daughter-in-law, and that no one else should even think about entering the Jiang family door. I smiled wryly, but didn't say anything more. Qing Mianmian is carrying their own grandson. Jiang Wen is their own son. Even if they are angry and hate him now, blood is thicker than water, and in the end, they are still family. Jiang Wen moved to Qing Mianmian's place. Qing Mianmian's WeChat moments are filled with all kinds of delicious food prepared for Jiang Wen. Chopped pepper fish head, spicy crayfish, spicy chicken. In the corner of the photos, Jiang Wen's well-defined hands are always visible, his broad back. Looking at the fragrant and spicy dishes, I chuckled. Eat. Let him enjoy it for a little longer, and see how much longer he can keep jumping around. In just 2 weeks, I received the divorce decree. The assets under Jiang Wen's name were also gradually transferred to my name. I used the money I got from the divorce to register a company, and the business content largely overlapped with Jiang Wen's company. Men will betray me, but career and money won't. Site selection, decoration, employee recruitment, training, market promotion, these took up a lot of my time. By the time the studio was running normally, half a year had passed. I heard that Qing Mianmian's child has been born, and they are currently preparing for the wedding with Jiang Wen. I sneered inwardly. I hope they will like the wedding gift I send. Qing Mianmian rushed into my company just as I was seeing off a client who had come to discuss cooperation. When she saw me, she rushed over like a madwoman. Su Jixia, you bitch, you actually went to my hometown to spread rumors, I'm going to fight you. I sneered, spreading rumors? You dare to do it, but are you afraid of others talking about it? I'll just ask you one question, are those things on the flyers what you said yourself? After learning that Qing Mianmian and Jiang Wen were getting married, I made a special trip to Qing Mianmian's hometown. I distributed beautifully designed flyers, which I had commissioned from a design company in advance, to every villager. The content was about what she confessed to me in the coffee shop. How she acted disloyally, how she got involved with a married man, and how she got pregnant out of wedlock to force the original wife. The designer made the font extra large, just in case the elderly in the village couldn't see it clearly. Originally, Qing Mianmian's family was boasting in the village about how amazing their daughter was. That she had found a promising young CEO of a listed company. Chang's family had been flaunting this so much that people were already annoyed. Now that they knew Qing Mianmian was a mistress, people were practically breaking their parents' backs with their gossip. Although Jiang Wen quickly bought them a house in the city. But for two people who had lived in the countryside for most of their lives, all their social connections were with relatives and friends in their hometown. No matter how much they tried to hide, they couldn't escape the rumors and slanders. I didn't want to see Qing Mianmian going crazy in my company, so I had 2 female colleagues escort her out. After locking the glass door, she pounded on it and roared, Su Jixia, you just wait, I'm going to hire a lawyer and sue you, you just wait to receive a court summons. I sneered in disdain, not caring at all, then I'll just wait for the good news. You better be true to your word, when the judge orders me to publicly apologize, then I will issue a statement across the entire internet, sincerely apologizing to you despicable man and woman. I emphasized the words despicable man and woman. Qing Mianmian's face turned pale with anger. I waved at her, turned around and walked back to my office with a flourish. Of course, I wouldn't just deal with Qing Mianmian and let that disgusting perfectly disappear. But, I needed to wait for a better opportunity. Soon, this opportunity arrived. Jiang Wen's company was about to launch a product that had been in development for 3 years. In these 3 years, he had invested a lot of money and manpower in the new product and attracted countless investments. This product could be said to be a crucial battle for Jiang Wen's company. Failure in this battle could lead to a broken capital chain at best, and bankruptcy at worst. Jiang Wen's company didn't have strong capital to begin with. I initially advised him to travel light and not go public. Firstly, to avoid the pressure of financial disclosure, and secondly, to reduce the risk of financing costs. Once a company goes public, even if you are the CEO, you no longer have absolute decision-making power. But he didn't listen at all, he went his own way. The launch date of Jiang Wen's company's new product was set for March 18th. On March 17th, I first anonymously reported Jiang Wen's company to the Tax Bureau for tax evasion. Then I reported Jiang Wen's company to the Administration for Industry and Commerce for false advertising and unfair competition. Finally, I reported Jiang Wen's company to the Labor Bureau for failing to pay Social Security for all employees according to the law. I even wrote a letter to the fire department, reporting that Jiang Wen's company did not have complete firefighting facilities. Jiang Wen had just finished the new product launch conference in the morning. In the afternoon, I asked Song Wen to help me release the video of my meeting with Qing Mianmian. The video title is, Mr. Jiang, a president known for his loving husband persona, has been cheating on his wife for 7 years after a decade of marriage. In the video, Qing Mianmian's friend blurred her face. Her voice was also changed. But the Jiang Wen she repeatedly mentioned in her conversation was crystal clear. Song Wen was already a popular emotional blogger with millions of followers, so posting the video naturally generated buzz. In addition to boosting the video, I contacted several marketing accounts to re-edit and repost it. The top trending topic that day was the launch of a new product by Jiang Wen's company. The second to sixth trending topics were all about Jiang Wen's extramarital affair. Jiang Wen and his company became famous. In just 3 trading days, Jiang Wen's company's stock price plummeted by 37% and its market value was halved. The newly launched product was even boycotted. But this was just an appetizer. Jiang Wen was extremely busy. He spent money to suppress all the negative news about him, while dealing with accusations from the company's shareholders. I was in a great mood and invited my friends to eat hot pot. The waiter led us to a small private room on the second floor. Unexpectedly, Jiang Wen and Qing Mianmian were in the next room. We could hear their voices clearly. Jiang Wen, I'm already annoyed enough as it is, and you still insist that I accompany you to eat hot pot. Can't you invite your own friends? Qing Mianmian coaxed, oh, I gave you a son and worked so hard to breastfeed him. I haven't had spicy food in over a year. Now that the baby is drinking formula, I just want to change my taste. Jiang Wen said irritably, if you hadn't taken it upon yourself to be foolish and go to that woman, would I have been scolded by those shareholders? Qing Mianmian felt wronged. I've been suppressed by her for so long, acting like a rat in the gutter as your mistress for so many years. I just wanted to vent my anger. Who knew she would be so vicious and scheming, actually hiring someone to take a video? Husband, I know I was wrong, and I won't do it again. Jiang Wen sighed heavily. He didn't say anything more. After a while, Jiang Wen's voice sounded again, let's change to a clear broth, my stomach has been burning uncomfortably lately. This spicy pot is too spicy and greasy. Qing Mianmian didn't care at all, I specifically came to eat the extra spicy pot. Didn't you used to like the taste of this place too? Jiang Wen was silent. Halfway through the hot pot, violent coughing came from the next room. The coughing became louder and louder, and then he started vomiting. With a mood of watching the fun, I quickly rushed out of the private room. I lifted the curtain next door. I saw Jiang Wen holding on to the table, vomiting blood profusely. Qing Mianmian shook Jiang Wen in horror. Husband, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me. The restaurant staff immediately called 120. A crowd of people gathered at the door of the private room to watch. It wasn't until the paramedics arrived that the people gathered gradually dispersed. Jiang Wen was hospitalized. After being admitted to the hospital for examination, he was diagnosed with terminal stomach cancer. Cancer cells had spread throughout his body, and dozens of brain metastases had appeared even in his head. I posted the video I took at the hot pot restaurant of the ambulance taking Jiang Wen away, his mouth full of blood, online. It stirred up a hornet's nest. Jiang Wen was already deep in a sex scandal. After the new product launch, he encountered huge resistance, and now the news of him vomiting blood and being hospitalized broke out. This caused endless panic among shareholders, who began to sell their shares. Jiang Wen's company's stock price plummeted like a free fall. Market value evaporated, triggering a series of chain reactions. Banks urgently withdrew loan limits and refused to provide new financial support. Partners terminated cooperation agreements one after another. And just at this moment, the last straw that broke the camel's back arrived. It was revealed online that Jiang Wen's company was under investigation for tax evasion, was summoned by the Industry and Commerce Bureau for improper business competition, and was fined by the fire department, etc. I knew that Jiang Wen's company was about to be finished. Qing Mian was dumbfounded. She thought that after marrying Jiang Wen, she would enjoy endless wealth and glory. But now, after only more than half a year, Jiang Wen is not only seriously ill but also burdened with huge debts. Due to the sluggish sales of the new product, Jiang Wen's capital chain broke. Jiang Wen lay in bed receiving chemotherapy, no longer able to run around looking for new investments. He was worried about the company and asked Qing Mian to manage it on his behalf. But Qing Mian offended a major shareholder and drove away a core backbone of the company in just 2 weeks after taking over. When Jiang Wen found out, he became even more ill with anxiety. Unable to repay the loan, Jiang Wen's properties, cars, and other assets were successively seized by the court, and the company and personal bank accounts were frozen. The company's operation completely stalled. But there were still employees' salaries to be paid. In the end, they had to go into bankruptcy liquidation. Just as Jiang Wen was dying, Qing Mian proposed to divorce him. She didn't want custody of the child, giving it to Jiang Wen. After considering it for 2 days, Jiang Wen agreed. After receiving the divorce certificate, he desperately called me, wanting to see me one last time. Thinking of how well his parents had treated me, I went to the hospital. The moment I saw Jiang Wen, I was shocked beyond words. His originally handsome face was now so thin that he looked almost like a skeleton, his cheeks sunken in a frightening way, his complexion pale and gray. When he saw me coming, he struggled to get up. But after trying for a long time, he still failed. I stood a meter away from the hospital bed, coldly looking at him. "What do you want from me?" Jiang Wen gasped heavily. "Xixia, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Lying in bed these days, I've figured a lot of things out. I let you down. Now that I've come to this, it's all my own fault." There were cloudy tears welling up in the corners of his eyes. My emotions were not at all turbulent, and I still looked at him calmly. He struggled to take out a bank card from under the pillow. "Here's the money I hid." The account was opened with my mom's ID card. "There's over 2 million here. The password is your birthday." He coughed violently again. After his breathing calmed, he said in a hoarse voice, "My parents are old. After I die, could you please look after them, and could you please help my parents arrange my funeral?" I didn't take the bank card. Jiang Wen struggled to hold his hand up and it fell heavily back onto the bed. I replied, "I don't think I have the time. You can ask Qing Mian to take care of your parents. You can also entrust your funeral to her. After all, she is your soulmate. I'm afraid I'll taint your path to reincarnation." Jiang Wen opened his mouth, but couldn't say anything more. "Jiang Wen, how dare you give this woman money behind my back? I didn't get a penny from you in the divorce, and you're still thinking about other women." The door of the ward was kicked open, Qing Mian's eyes were bloodshot, and she hit Jiang Wen's head with her bag. Once, twice. I didn't want to watch them fight like dogs, so I silently left the ward. When I walked to the nurse station, I reminded them that there was a fight in the patient's room 702. Not long after, news came of Jiang Wen's death. He could have lived longer, but because of Qing Mian's violent beating, he died in the ICU a few days after being rescued. And Qing Mian was taken away by the police on suspicion of intentional injury. What awaits her is the severe punishment of the law. Not long after Jiang Wen was buried, I received an EMS envelope at the company. It was sent from the oncology hospital. Opening it, it was the bank card Jiang Wen gave me in the ward. Probably, before he died, he asked the hospital staff to send it to me. When we divorced, I had already received the property I deserved. I don't want anything else, and I don't want to have any connection with him. I took the bank card back to Jiangwen's hometown. I handed the card to his parents. Whether they used the money to support themselves in their old age or to raise Jiangwen's son is none of my business. Zhang's mother asked me to stay for dinner, but I politely declined. Once, I was fortunate enough to be their family member for a while. But our fate has ended, and we need to go our separate ways. On the way back, the haze of many days finally dissipated completely, and the long-lost sunlight broke through the clouds. Putting down the car window, the breeze with the fresh scent of rain blew through my hair. Gently pressing the accelerator, the car accelerated. I'm rushing towards a brand new life.